Here in front of us today is a 1958 Chevy two-door wagon. Everything has been attempted on this wagon to prevent it from overheating and nothing is working out. The customer has brought it to us and has challenged us to fix that problem. We have been successful at fixing overheating problems on classic cars many times, so we told them challenge accepted and we're going to be doing it here on this vehicle today. Thank you to the sponsor of this video, Lifmocer. More on them later in this video.
So we had this customer reach out to me because he's having the same problem as one of the videos that we did on the Camaro with an overheating in the same scenario. He tried all kinds of different options on the radiator. It's not working out for him. So we're gonna do the same thing on this. We're gonna change the radiator and we're gonna set it up the proper way. So this isn't technically 100% wrong the way this is. A couple things that I just see at first glance that's not working to its benefit is the shroud that's on here. As you can see here, yeah, it's on the back side of the radiator, but the air still has to come through it. And it has this little louver on it, but it's still creating a blockage on the air coming through. And then the fan that is on here, they have it wired to run all the time, which is not necessary. But this particular radiator has no provision for a sensor, and then this has a 348 Chevy in it, and they don't have provisions in the head for any sensors or any gauges. The only spot they have is on the intake, and they're using it for the factory gauge, temperature gauge, and then they added this little block here. I think this one here is the aftermarket gauge. This one here looks like a harness, so I'm not sure what that one's doing. Ideally, I would like to use that for the fan switch, because you don't need the fan running all the time, as we talked about before. You want to have the right thermostat, so it gets a certain temperature, and the fan's going to control the operating temperature. It's going to have a little bit of a swing to it, I guess you would say. I know this is a how-to, but every vehicle's a little different on how they mount, especially in the older ones. So it's not going to be 100% the same if you have a 58 Chevy as this 58 Chevy. So just keep that in mind. And this is also a small block core support. They do offer a 6-cylinder core support, which the radiator would be in the front. So that's different options too. The outcome would still be the same. So far we have the coolant draining. We took the overflow out of the way here. We're gonna take the upper hose off. We could leave it on the engine side, but just to get it out of the way, so you don't have a hose in the way to get the radiator up and down, we're just gonna take it all the way off. Make sure we don't have any coolant in there. Give it a rotate on this side. If you kind of let it go down, you can catch any coolant, control your mess a little bit. Get the fan unplugged down here. Then now we're gonna take this shroud off. The shroud's separate. You can see it's got this particular one has two mounting bolts on both sides. Snake it up out of here. It's really tight. Or you know what I'm probably gonna do? I think I'm just gonna slide it out all together. So I got the lower radiator hose off. Got the coolant pretty much all drained. Now I'm taking off the tranny cooler line here on the supposed to be driver's side. I got a pan down, a separate pan to catch the tranny fluid. You gotta watch these. This has an AN fitting in it. So it has a fitting that goes into the radiator. You gotta be careful when you go to loosen up the AN fitting. You gotta get a wrench to hold this. So now we only have 3 bolts left holding in the radiator. We got the 2 here, and then 1 on this side, but we have different sizes. These are 3/8 head, and this one's a 1/2 inch head. So I'm gonna take this one first, because there is 2 on this side to keep it from twisting, and they're still tight. So now I'm gonna have to hold it, because it's gonna try to rotate or fall as I take these out. So I'm gonna hold it here, take the lower one first. Now we'll get the top one, which is all this holding the radiator in. The shroud is separate, so I'm gonna put the shroud back to the radiator and try to bring it up carefully as one unit. And as I get up here closer, I'm gonna tilt it a little bit on the core support to control the tranny fluid from leaking out the cooler, and then coolant coming out the bottom. Then I can get a hold of it here on both sides. I can carefully take it up and set it off to the side here. I'm checking this harness here and eliminating. So we used to have a fan in the front of the radiator, and then we got 2 relays over here, and I'm just trying to track down which relay does what, and then we're not gonna have 2 fans anymore, so I'm gonna eliminate this one. And then the old fan is this harness here. You can see that it comes up and is one of these relays. I have 2 relays here, so I'm trying to just clean this up and then see which one is which. And you can see here we got some sort of quality wire job. We got a wire just hanging out. I don't know where that came from. Oh, it came from this ground right here, so we didn't have a good connection on our ground. You always got to have good ground, so that'll cause overheating problems if your fan can't run, if it has a bad ground. So we're just checking this out to make sure that once we do this job that the electrical is sound, that it doesn't cause another problem. Before we show the new radiator, we're gonna thank our sponsor of this video, Lifmocer, for this jump starter. I was coming home from the track the other day, lost my belt, coming home at night, battery went dead on me. Little ZHP happened to have this in the car. He put this in the car before I left. Hooked it up to the battery, was able to jump the car and drive it to a safe area and be able to get it fixed to get the rest of the way home. You can see it's a nice hard case, all secured together. You open it up, everything is safely contained. We have the jumper portion, the jump box itself, you charge your phone with it. You have 2 USB-A's and 1 USB-C. And if you're not able to find your terminals or a safe place to hook it up, it has a light on it, so you hold it for the light to come on. It's got 1 flat, 1 round, plugs right in. When it plugs in, it indicates blue, which is standby. I happen to have a jump terminal right here in the front of it. You always want to hook up the positive first. I got my ground right here. Once it's hooked up, it indicates green, showing that you have it hooked up properly and it's ready to work. I also like the nice safety feature in this, so it's all plugged in, and if you have the cords just dangling, because the ground is actually a little bit shorter than the positive and it has the plastic covering, that it won't strike the terminals together and cause any arcing. This saved me the other night, so make sure you go pick yours up. You get a little ZHP Garage discount code at the checkout. Make sure you carry one in your car in case of emergency. So this is our new radiator that we're using, obviously a Ron Davis radiator. The shroud is made on to the radiator, so it's a tighter fit for one. And then looking at it, you think, yeah, they're the exact same, but there's a lot of small things that are different that add up to solving the problem. So you can see, yeah, this has louvers on here, like we mentioned, for the air to come through the shroud, but Ron upped it, they have flaps, and you see how much more volume can go through there rather than the louvers. So we have 4 of them, same deal. And then we have the same single 16-inch fan, but this puts out more airflow than this one does. This one sounded like it was dying, for one. I don't know the flow on this one. I don't even know what fan this is. But yes, they are a single 16-inch fan. But if you look, it's kind of hard to see. This is actually a pretty decent radiator, but the fin quantity that the Ron Davis has a higher fin count. So the finer the fins are, the better cooling capacity that it has. You can see on the bottom, same deal. We have our lower hose mount, same spot. We have our cooler, same deal. We're gonna take these fittings out, put some Teflon paste on them, put them in here. One of the benefits on the Ron Davis here is he added a fitting to the top here on the top tank. The way it cools is the hot water comes into the bottom, and then it cools coming to the top. So by doing that, it helps prevent any air pockets in the cooling system. Now we have a fitting here on the top tank of the radiator that, as I mentioned before, that we don't have a location on the intake or the heads for a temperature switch. So now I'm able to install a temperature switch on the top tank to control my relay for my fan. So all this does is a temperature switch. It controls the ground side of the relay, so it turns it on and off. We're not defeating the purpose of having an electric fan by running all the time. If you're going to do that, you might as well take this whole fan shroud off and just put a mechanical fan on there. But the benefit of an electric fan is that idle, like traffic idling, is electric fan is going to put out more airflow. It's going to pull more air across the radiator than a mechanical fan is at low speeds. That's what promotes better cooling. So that's why you switch over to electric fan. On top of that, you get, the benefit of less drag on the engine, which promotes better fuel economy. So if you have it run all the time, all you're doing is straining the electrical system, because the alternator is charging more to accommodate the load of the fan, which is putting more load on the engine. So you're kind of counterproductive. So you don't want it to run all the time. So we get the benefit here now of adding the fan switch. Forgot to mention, we got the old one had a petcock in it. I'm not a big fan of the petcocks because they wind up having issues sealing over time, and I don't want to have a leak. So this one has just a pipe plug. So this pipe plug comes with the radiator. So I installed the pipe plug here on the bottom. It's a little bit messier if you have to drain it, but it's a rare occasion. I went to reuse the fittings out of this radiator here, and somebody actually put the wrong fittings in it. This is not a pipe fitting. This is a flare fitting for like a inverted flare, something to this effect, about like so. So that's why they had some sort of washer on here and a bunch of sealant and garbage, so wrong fitting. So I had to get some fittings. So we got our 1/4-inch pipe to -6 AN straight, like what was supposed to be in here. So now we got the radiator all prepped. We got the temperature switch installed. All the fittings and switches and sensors and everything, I use Teflon paste on it. And then I wipe off the excess after I put it in. It does a really clean job. Looks really nice. So we got the radiator put back in, the overflow, training cooler lines, everything hooked back up. I got the old harness and the extra relay removed. And originally, whoever did this had this going that this harness was running down. It was obviously loomed, but it was running down with zip tied here, running down next to the radiator. But you get to the bottom down here, and the radiator bracket overlaps. And I didn't really pay attention to it when I came apart, but then when I put it back together, as I was putting it in before I tightened it down, I said, that doesn't look right. So I loosened it up, pulled the harness out, and yeah, it was pinched down in there. So it had this ginormous loom. It had this big loom on here for this one wire. So what I'm going to do now is I have this extra hole here that was used for the shroud. So now I'm going to open this up, clean this hole up, put a grommet in it, and then I'll have this come down and go through there to get to the other side to go down for the fan and then the fan ground. So this is battery power to the relay, and then this is what I'm turning on is the blue wire. The black should be my ground, but I want to double check. I question it because it goes from black to red. For the most part, red people use for power, but newer cars, white is used for ground. So we're gonna just verify. All right, so I got the wiring all put back together, back pretty much the way it was. We got our grommet here. We passed through our power wire to the fan, and then we just added the temperature switch. So we just broke the circuit of the ground, came through the switch. So in theory, if the switch grounds, these two contacts are touched. Key's on right now, like you're driving the vehicle, running. So it gets the temperature, it grounds the sensor, which turns on the fan, and you want to verify it. So we have a towel, shop towel here, so the fan on. You can see that it's flowing in the right direction. It sucks it to the radiator. So if the fan was reversed, it would obviously blow it off. So you want to verify that before you start it. Because we have the training cooler in the radiator, double check your training fluid. We filled up the radiator. We used distilled water, always a good idea with aluminum. This is how you fix your overheating problem. This is the Ron Davis radiator, which comes with the right fan, the right shroud, the right setup. You make sure to have a good alternator that puts out enough voltage, at least 100 amp, and the correct relay temperature switch so the fan comes on and off. So make sure you go down to the link below, pick yourself up a jump starter for your car for when it's sitting a little too long and you need to get it going again, and head over to ZHP Garage, get yourself a work shirt before you get started on installing the radiator on your car. Come on back for the next one. Thanks.